So he was diagnosed May 2nd, and he died September 1st. He died from stomach cancer.
So May 2nd of 2020, had an episode in the middle of the night. He thought he had a kidney stone. He took himself to emergency because we had a 6 and 7-year-old in bed, and it was COVID. It ended up being stomach cancer, secondary liver cancer. He was 46, and he had TUMs, but he loved jalapeno on his nachos. He loved beer and hot wings. He loved sriracha. He worked dispatch for the railroad. My throat's dry, so I'm gonna eat Altoids or, cough drops because I'm on a headset and my throat's dry. He did wood floors before he worked for the railroad, but he was a true craftsman. My back hurts from lifting all this lumber. I'm gonna take ibuprofen. TUMs, ibuprofen, Altoids. But do you see how there was nothing alarming about any of those? So he came home May 6th because his hemoglobin was very low. They ended up starting chemo May 11th. By May 14th, he had an anaphylactic reaction to chemo. So they needed to pump him full of Benadryl and prednisone and tweak the recipe. It ended up being 3 rounds of chemo and a collapsed bile duct, which made him turn yellow. So Father's Day 2020, he gets the stent, put it in his bile duct. They rescan. So from the 3 treatments of chemo, everything doubled. The 3 millimeter became 6, the 6 millimeter became 12. The chemo obviously wasn't killing anything, it was antagonizing it. And then we were trying to get him into a trial, but that was another hurdle. We couldn't get his hemoglobin to hold at 8 because he had GI bleeds. That Chuck E. Cheese or showbiz game with the melon and the groundhogs. They'd stop to bleed, another one would come. They'd stop to bleed, another one would come. Can't keep his hemoglobin at 8. We're cutting him open again, all in the name of getting his hemoglobin there to qualify for immunotherapy. I'm locked out of the hospital doing all this. And so they wanted to put mesh in his carotid artery to stop the blood clots. So when it came time for the mesh, and they're calling me about informed consent, I fired back and said, you can't take informed consent over the phone. You know a female answered Susie's phone, but you don't know that I'm Susie. And if I am Susie, you don't know that I'm of sound mind. 45 minutes, they put me on a 45-minute timer. But when it's COVID and you're shut out, it was 45 minutes. I got to see him. I got to see him. I know my mental health. When I think about him turning 47, him, having Father's Day in the hospital and the family lockdown and things like that, it's a lot to endure. And so he was home for a little while. Unfortunately, his hemoglobin dropped again, and he was yellow as all get out. Finally, he got to the point where he was in so much pain and he was hot to touch, and I was like, if I take you to the ER, they're gonna keep you and they're gonna lock me out. And he said, I don't want to die at home in front of the girls. And then I was like, you're not gonna die. This is just a peritonitis infection. This is just a sinus fluid. It's just your liver, I took him and they got him out of the car, and they locked me out until it was time to make are you gonna hospice him at home or are you gonna hospice him at the hospice house?
Only one strike, Eric. Name something you want to do at the marathon lovemaking. Cuddle.
we had a Husker wedding, and that was one of his requests for his funeral. He didn't want anyone in black. He wanted everyone in Husker.
It had some of his favorite red snack foods.
And Memorial Stadium was in the casket. It closed that was, but when they closed it, he could see Memorial Stadium. And they were dressed in cheerleader outfits at his funeral. With insurance, I wish if there's one thing I could change, If it's 4th stage, just go right to immunotherapy. I had 3 different oncologists along the way say if we could, we would go right into immunotherapy because it's, you know, not as toxic as chemo and it's working with your own immune system. But I was like, well, then why can't we? Because insurance won't let you. I'm going to be buried in Nebraska. I mean, I got my gravestone next to him because it's like, he's the father of my children. But the winters without him in Omaha, you know, when you're the only parent, I'm now in Phoenix because he did not want me worry about driving on ice, shoveling, and things like that. It's a good restart, because we have a support system and things, and it's nice and toasty and sunshine. So
I said I didn't, but I know he did. The kid said, "Get ready, because this ain't funny. My name's Mike D, and I'm about to get money."